Imagine walking into a diner for lunch and walking out in handcuffs. Sherry Lawson, a black mother from Ohio, simply asked to speak to a manager after being overcharged for her meal. Within minutes, the police were called. They claimed she was disturbing the peace, but the only disturbance was a black woman daring to question unfair treatment. In America, how many times has this story played out, quietly, without cameras? Subscribe to Justice Tales, hit like, and comment your city. Could this happen where you live? It was a sunny Saturday afternoon when Sherry decided to take her daughter out for lunch. They picked a small diner they'd never tried before, one of those places with checkered floors and the smell of frying bacon in the air. The meal was uneventful, but when the bill came, Sherry noticed she was charged for items she never ordered. She politely called the waitress over. Instead of fixing the mistake, the waitress rolled her eyes. Sherry calmly asked, "Could I please speak to your manager?" In most places, this request leads to an apology. Here, it triggered something else. The waitress muttered under her breath, walked away, and returned with the manager, who didn't greet Sherry but instead reached for the phone. Within 10 minutes, flashing blue lights reflected off the diner windows. 2 officers entered, their eyes locking on Sherry. "Ma'am, you need to leave," one said before even asking what happened. Sherry tried to explain, showing them the bill. "I just want the charges corrected," she said. But the officers didn't look at the paper. They looked at her and decided she was the problem. Her daughter began to cry as one officer moved closer. "You're causing a disturbance. If you don't leave now, you'll be arrested." Sherry's voice shook, not from fear, but from disbelief. "I'm not yelling. I'm not refusing to pay. I'm asking for fairness." Within seconds, one officer grabbed her arm. The other told the diners, "Nothing to see here." People stared at their plates, avoiding eye contact. The kind of silence that lets injustice grow. Outside, they handcuffed her. Her daughter stood frozen in the doorway, tears running down her face. Sherry was placed in the back of the police car for the crime of not leaving when ordered. At the station, she was booked for disorderly conduct. The charge was dropped weeks later, but the damage was done. Her arrest record would follow her for years. For Sherry, the question wasn't just why this happened. It was how many women like her never tell their story. Sherry's breaking point came in the holding cell. Across from her sat another black woman, arrested for loitering outside her own apartment. They didn't know each other, but their stories felt like mirror images. Both had been treated as threats before being treated as human. When Sherry's daughter visited her the next day, she clung to her and whispered, "Mommy, did you do something bad?" It was in that moment that Sherry realized her arrest wasn't just about her, it was about teaching her daughter what the world sees when it sees them, and that was unacceptable. Sherry filed a complaint with the police department and spoke to local news. Her story gained traction online, sparking a wider conversation about customer while black incidents. The diner never apologized, and the officers faced no discipline. But Sherry's courage meant her story wouldn't vanish in silence. She became an advocate, encouraging others to document, report, and share these everyday acts of discrimination. Because the more we bring them into the light, the harder they are to ignore. A simple request to speak to a manager shouldn't end in handcuffs. But in America, being black can turn any situation into a potential arrest. Sherry Lawson's story is just one of thousands, and everyone deserves to be told. Subscribe to Justice Tales, hit like, and comment your city. Could this happen where you live? The next story we tell could be yours.